My daughter Emily stared at her plate, her fork frozen. The Sunday dinner table went quiet. What did you just say? I kept my voice level, setting down my fork. My sister Jennifer leaned back, her wine glass dangling from her fingers. Oh, come on. We're all thinking it. The kid barely talks, draws strange pictures all day. It's not normal for a 10-year-old. Emily's shoulders hunched. Her fingers gripped the table, knuckles white. Jennifer. My mother's voice carried a warning. I'm saying what everyone's too polite to mention. Jennifer sipped her wine. Maybe if Sarah actually parented, Emily would have friends. Would fit in. My father cleared his throat. Let's change the subject. No, I looked at Jennifer. Tell me more about parenting. She rolled her eyes. Don't be defensive. I'm helping. My boys are thriving. Honor roll, soccer captain, student council. They're well adjusted because Mark and I set expectations. Her twin sons sat across from Emily wearing matching smirks. One whispered to the other and they both snickered. Is that right? I sipped my water slowly. The boys are doing well? Exceptionally well. Jennifer puffed with pride. Unlike some children who live in fantasy worlds instead of developing real skills. Emily pushed back from the table. May I be excused? Finish your dinner, sweetheart. I kept my eyes on Jennifer. See? Can't even handle a little constructive criticism. Jennifer gestured with her wine glass. That's the problem right there. You coddle her, Sarah. The real world isn't going to be so gentle. My brother Tom shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His wife, Lisa, studied her plate with intense fascination. Nobody wanted to get involved as usual. Jennifer. My mother tried again. This isn't appropriate. Oh, mother, stop. Someone needs to say it. Emily's almost 11 and acts like she's 6. She needs help probably. But Sarah's too busy to notice. My little job. I let that sit. What exactly do you think Emily should be doing differently? I asked. Participating. Socializing. Normal kid things. Jennifer waved her hand dismissively. Instead, she sits in corners drawing her weird little pictures. The teachers probably think she's troubled. The teachers. I nodded. What do your boys' teachers think? Jennifer's smile faltered. What? Their teachers. The feedback you're getting from school. Their teachers love them. But her voice lost confidence. Why? Just conversation. I cut my chicken and chewed slowly. Since we're discussing our children's education, how are things at Westbrook Academy? The private school's name hung in the air. Jennifer's fingers tightened around her wine glass. Fine. Everything's fine. Really? I tilted my head. That's interesting because I heard there might be some issues. Academic integrity concerns. Mark, Jennifer's husband, spoke for the first time. Where did you hear that? Around. I took another bite. Small community. Prestigious school. Word travels. There are no issues. Jennifer's voice had an edge. The boys are great. Someone's spreading rumors. I looked at her twins. They'd stopped smirking. Must be mistaken then. I could have sworn I heard something about plagiarism. And cheating on midterm exams. But if you say everything's fine. Jennifer's face went pale. Who told you that? So there are issues. I set down my fork. Interesting that you failed to mention them while you were critiquing my parenting. That's completely different. It's a misunderstanding. Is it? I kept my tone conversational. Buying essays online seems pretty straightforward. Not much room for misunderstanding there. The table went silent. My father stopped eating. Tom stared at me with wide eyes. How do you know about that? Mark's voice was tight. I have my sources. I looked at Emily, who had lifted her head slightly and was watching. The school takes academic dishonesty very seriously from what I understand. Especially repeat offenses. It's being handled. Jennifer's hand shook slightly as she set down her wine glass. The school is working with us. Are they? I folded my napkin. That's generous of them considering the evidence. The matching essays from online paper mills. The identical test answers. The timestamps showing the boys accessed restricted materials during exams. Jennifer pushed back from the table. You need to stop. Why? I thought we were having a conversation about parenting and children's development. About real-world consequences. I looked at my daughter. Emily, honey, what did you get on your last English essay? A plus. Her voice was barely a whisper. And that was your own work? She nodded. Original analysis? Your own words. Yes, Mom. I turned back to Jennifer. See, my daughter might be quiet. She might spend her time drawing instead of playing soccer. But she's honest. She does her own work. She has integrity. This is not the same thing. Jennifer's voice rose. You're twisting everything. Am I? I leaned back in my chair. You came into my parents' house and insulted my child. Called her weird. Suggested she needs help. Blamed me for her personality. All while your own sons are facing expulsion for systematic academic fraud. They're not being expelled. But Jennifer's voice lacked conviction. Not yet. I picked up my fork again. The disciplinary hearing is scheduled for Tuesday, isn't it? 3 o'clock? In the headmaster's conference room. Dead silence. Mark stood up. How do you know the details of a confidential school matter? Maybe I'm better informed than you thought. I took a sip of water. Maybe my little job isn't as insignificant as Jennifer believes. What are you talking about? Jennifer's voice had gone shrill. My mother leaned forward. Sarah, what's going on? Mom, you know I work at Westbrook Academy, right? You've known for 2 years. You're an administrative assistant. Jennifer grabbed onto that. You file papers. Is that what you think? I smiled. Did you actually ask what my position was? Or did you just assume? The color drained from Jennifer's face. You're not. I'm not an administrative assistant. I let the words settle. I'm the director of academic affairs. I oversee all disciplinary matters related to academic integrity. Every case of plagiarism, cheating, or fraud crosses my desk. Mark sat down heavily. One of the twins made a small sound. Which means, I continued, my voice perfectly calm, I've reviewed every piece of evidence against your sons. The paper trail of purchased essays. The pattern of identical wrong answers on tests, suggesting shared answer keys. The suspicious browser history on their school-issued laptops. The statements from 3 different teachers who noticed the discrepancies. Jennifer opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound came out. I've read the essays they bought. Actually, pretty well written, which makes it more obvious they didn't write them, given their previous work samples. I've examined the test papers. I've interviewed the witnesses. I've compiled the complete file for the disciplinary board. You can't be on that board. Mark found his voice. Your family. It's a conflict of interest. You're absolutely right. I nodded. That's why I recused myself from voting. But I still prepared the evidence. And trust me, it's comprehensive. Sarah. My mother's voice was faint. You never said. Nobody asked. I looked around the table. Everyone assumed I was just Jennifer's less successful little sister. The one with the weird kid in the office job. Nobody bothered to ask for details. Tom rubbed his face. This is insane. What's insane is Jennifer spending years making passive-aggressive comments about my daughter while her own children were systematically cheating their way through one of the state's best private schools. Kept my tone even. Emily might be different. She might be quiet and artistic and introverted. But she's authentic. And she's mine. And I'm done listening to anyone criticize her. Emily was looking at me now, her eyes wide. The hearing on Tuesday will determine whether your sons are expelled or merely suspended. I directed this at Jennifer and Mark. Given the severity and repetition of the violations, the board is leaning toward expulsion. They'll also likely be required to report this to any future schools or colleges they apply to. You can't let this happen. Jennifer's voice broke. They're your nephews. I'm not on the board. I told you that. I stood up, taking my plate and Emily's. But even if I were, academic integrity isn't negotiable. Actions have consequences. You should appreciate that. You were just lecturing me about the real world. Sarah, please. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. They made a mistake. They're just kids. So is Emily. And you called her weird. To her face. At a family dinner. I carried the plates toward the kitchen. You want to talk about better parenting? Start by teaching your sons that cheating is wrong. That buying your way through school is fraud. That integrity matters more than grades. I was just joking about Emily. Jennifer followed me. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. I set the plates in the sink. You've made comments like that for years. About how she dresses, how she plays, how she learns. You've questioned my parenting in front of the whole family more times than I can count. I'm sorry. Her voice was small now. I am. I shouldn't have said those things. No, you shouldn't have. I turned to face her. And maybe if you'd spent less time criticizing my child and more time paying attention to your own, you'd have noticed they were cheating. That's not fair. Isn't it? I crossed my arms. You were so focused on appearances, honor roll, soccer captain, student council, that you never questioned how they maintained those achievements. You cared more about status than character. Mark appeared in the doorway. What do we do? You show up Tuesday at 3. You let your sons face the consequences of their choices. You stop buying their way through life. I walked past him back to the dining room. And you never ever criticize my daughter again. Emily was still at the table, but she was sitting straighter now. The curtain of hair had been pushed back from her face. Ready to go, sweetheart? I held out my hand. He took it, standing up. Are we leaving? We are. I looked at my parents. Thank you for dinner, Mom. We'll see ourselves out. Sarah, wait. My father stood. Let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I helped Emily with her coat. Jennifer made her position clear. She thinks Emily's weird and I'm a bad parent. I made my position clear. I won't tolerate anyone insulting my child. But family, my mother started. Family doesn't mean accepting cruelty. I zipped Emily's coat. It doesn't mean letting people tear down a 10-year-old girl who's done nothing wrong. Emily is kind, creative, intelligent, and honest. If that makes her weird, then I'm proud of her weirdness. Emily squeezed my hand. As for Jennifer's boys, the disciplinary process will continue as it would for any other students. I picked up my purse. The evidence speaks for itself. The board will make their decision based on policy and precedent, not family relations. You're really going to let them be expelled? Jennifer's voice was desperate. I'm not letting anything happen. They made their choices. I opened the front door. You know what Emily does when she has a hard assignment? She asks for help. She goes to the library. She reads extra books. She works on it until she understands. She doesn't cheat. She doesn't take shortcuts. And maybe that's why her grades aren't perfect, but they're real. They're earned. The cold November air hit us as we stepped onto the porch. That's the difference between our children, Jennifer. Mine has integrity. Yours have trophies built on lies. I closed the door behind us. In the car, Emily was quiet for several minutes as I drove. Finally she spoke. Mom. Yes, honey. Am I weird? I glanced at her in the rearview mirror. You're different. Different isn't weird. Different is just different. But the other kids aren't you. Some people are loud and social. Some people are quiet and thoughtful. Both are okay. I turned onto our street. Your aunt was wrong to say those things. And I should have shut it down years ago. I'm sorry I didn't. It's okay. No, it's not. Adults are supposed to protect kids, not tear them down. I pulled into our driveway. You are exactly who you're supposed to be, Emily. And I love every part of you. She unbuckled her seatbelt. Do you really work at the boys' school? I do. Are they really in trouble? Yes. Will they really be expelled? I turned to face her. Probably. What they did was serious. They cheated on multiple assignments and tests over several months. They broke the school's rules and their own word. That's sad. It is. I touched her hand. But it's also a consequence of their choices. Sometimes people have to face the results of what they've done. That's how they learn. Aunt Jennifer was really mean tonight. She was. And she was wrong. I squeezed her hand. Come on. Let's go inside and you can show me what you've been drawing this week. Her face brightened. I finished the series about the forest guardian. I can't wait to see it. We went inside together, leaving the judgment and cruelty behind in my parents' dining room. Emily's drawings were spread across the kitchen table. Intricate, imaginative scenes full of detail and emotion. She explained each one with an enthusiasm I rarely saw from her. My phone buzzed with text. My mother. My brother. Jennifer, of course. I silenced it and focused on my daughter. She wasn't weird. She was creative. She wasn't troubled. She was thoughtful. She wasn't falling behind. She was moving at her own pace, developing her own talents, finding her own path. And anyone who couldn't see that didn't deserve a place in her life. Tuesday's hearing would happen regardless of family pressure. The evidence was clear, the violations documented, the policies established. Jennifer's boys would face consequences. But tonight wasn't about them. Tonight was about Emily understanding that she was valued, protected, and loved exactly as she was. I'd been silent too long, letting comments slide to keep family peace. That ended today. Emily deserved better than a mother who prioritized politeness over her well-being. This one's my favorite. Emily pointed to a drawing of a girl with long dark hair sitting under a tree, surrounded by forest creatures. She's quiet, so the animals trust her. The loud people scare them away, but she stays still and they come to her. It's beautiful, honey. She's different from everyone else. But the animals don't care. They like her anyway. I pulled her close. The right people will always appreciate what makes you special. My phone buzzed again. Jennifer probably. Or Mark. Or my mother trying to mediate. I turned it off completely. They could wait. My daughter couldn't.